A new year, a new Marvel show, and so a new bunch of anti-fan nonsense, tailored to get you clicks and get you angry. I guess 2024 is going to be more of the same. Viewer, I'd like to take you on a short journey through the new Echo show's release discourse, through Agatha Christie, and back around to the way we get tricked by the impression of knowledge. So, the first episode of the new Marvel show Echo contains a scene where anti-hero protagonist Maya faces off against fan-favorite character Daredevil. I can't show you the whole thing, not properly, not with the full range of sound and vision intact for copyright reasons, but I think that chunk was pretty representative. I watched that episode with breakfast this morning. The plan was then to get back to editing what was supposed to be my first video of the year, a piece about YouTube and AI, it's gonna be a doozy, but after seeing that episode, I couldn't. Something was nagging at me. And then it hit me. See, I had a little break over the festive period, I wasn't as online, and therefore developments in the YouTube griftosphere passed me by a bit more than they tend to. But I suddenly recalled I'd seen something about a backlash to this scene, which was weird, because nothing about it had jumped out to me while watching. I thought it was pretty solid, not groundbreaking, but a good reintroduction for everyone's favorite Catholic guild lawyer guy. In case you don't believe me, here's the notes I took for episode 1. There is some criticism there, but for the Daredevil section, I just wrote, let's fucking go. So what was that section of the internet's problem here? Turns out a potato-quality version of this fight had surfaced a week or so before the show was due to drop, and was doing the rounds on Twitter. Some people liked it, some people didn't, and a bunch of the usual suspects churned content from the story with an entirely predictable spin. We've talked about these two guys before on the channel, so let's start over here. In case you're lucky enough not to have seen his stuff before, Ryan Cannell is a streaming regular with all this lot: Friday Night Tights, your Star Wars theory guys, and Mauler. And on his own channel is one of those guys that finds something culture war adjacent, hits record, gives you the buzzword medley for a few minutes, and uploads the result 2 or 3 times per day. This video starts out with the requisite anti-woke discourse markers.
We're only a week away from Marvel's first disaster of the year, and that is the Echo series. Kevin Feige, after all the virtue signaling for woke Marvel about how much we need to include Maya Lopez's character because she's a woman, she's indigenous, she's an amputee, and of course, she's deaf.
Before doing one of my favorite chud bingo things, contorting a thoroughly normal event into sinister evidence of woke doom.
But they really are desperate to get a little bit of attention, so they dropped a new teaser for it.
Oh, Marvel dropped a new teaser for an upcoming show? God forbid. But the video's centered around 2 things. A prolonged, incredulous reaction to the fact that fight scenes don't look as good when they're playing at 240p at 1/10 speed and without proper audio, and then an attempt to prove everyone else hated this too. Brian cites these articles from Dexerto and CBR, which write of mixed responses, and of course reads only the negative ones. All these critics CBR picked out from Twitter are also very obviously right-wing posters. That probably doesn't mean anything, right? That all broadly describes the Nerdrotic Daily video too. Hey, Mauler's here too. Funny company that guy keeps, huh? He was neutral before! What did you expect him to do? Move to the left after being criticized for not liking movies? Anyway, the Nerdrotic video. We get a lot of guy discovers actors don't really punch each other here.
Look! Oh my god, slowly. What? What?
She flicks her leg with her arm.
It's absolutely awful!
And we get a lot of slow-mo, freeze-frame scrubbing with different audio overlaid. It seems bad, but TV isn't a solely visual medium. Anything's gonna seem bad like this. Nerdrotic even acknowledges this.
Like, without sound and music, it makes it 1,000 times worse.
Let's take a moment here. What we have there is tacitly an agreement by Nerdrotic that good visual quality, sound effects, and score play a huge role in papering over the gaps between seeing stunt work and believing fight scenes, right before he launches the Goon Squad into an extended critique that makes no allowances for the effects of this shite quality. And there's obviously some of this in the Critical Drinkers live clip too, along with a healthy bash of making fun of people's appearances, because why not, I guess.
I think it's interesting the people that they picked for this. So they've got a Doctor Who wannabe, I guess.
Was it fancy dress, or is everyone just like can't dress themselves?
Quite an interesting look they've got going on. Well, it's not the best.
We'll come back to this one, but let's talk about the heart of all this, the clip and its choreography.
It's like take 2 of 17, where you have to refine these type of things. You can't just try to be the first Daredevil and slap this together.
That bit there where you just like rest on the table.
It's not just me, right? It is fine. I'd really like to know if anyone who didn't see this drama before just went into the episode blind, thought this was anything other than a pretty good sequence. Please do comment below. And that's not shilling either. Remember, I lost my position as secret paid Disney shill after that Bob Iger video, so I'll be the first to admit Marvel's had plenty of bad fight sequences before, and this isn't the best they've ever done. But I can't help thinking punching this up from molehill at best to mountain is just a weird and boring choice from these guys. Can't I think of anything more imaginative to whine about? Anything specific to Echo? I'm sure if they put their heads together they can come up with, I don't know, something dicey about the Native American side of it?
What she can do now is draw upon the power of her Native American ancestors.
The spirit of eagle and tries to fly and then just falls off the building.
There you go. No, I think all it is that their favorite little trick's been done for them. It's a freebie. It's been pointed out plenty, often by the guys over at the Fandom Initiative, that a staple tool in the "this media is woke and bad" toolkit is showing low-quality footage, often slowed, often audio replaced, while making complaints. It's convince audience thing is shit on easy mode, because when you distort a piece of TV, when you pull apart all those strands that come together to lift a viewer into belief, when you separate them out, pull a microscope on them, yeah, the illusion gets broken. It looks fake, no shit. If you repeat and boost the squeaky pedal in Since I've Been Loving You, that's gonna sound like a mess too. But obviously, it isn't really. But yeah, this one's a freebie. These guys don't even have to make the edit themselves. They can just press play, react, and compare it unfavorably to the Netflix Daredevil sequences it's calling back to. So, I tell you what, let's you and I rewatch that first hallway fight scene, but let's do it in the same way these guys are watching this one. Hey guys, Anti-Woke Warrior 906, back at it with more content, trying to take down the woke Marvel menace. Let's do a little react, let's do some react video to the Netflix's woke Daredevil. Whoa, what? You trying to sell me on that? This is just dog shit, isn't it? Can't believe Netflix is trying to ruin our male hero characters. What was that? Hey, yeah, don't forget to give me super thanks and give me loads of money so I can keep the fight up against the woke Marvel menace. You know, I think it just goes to show how far Marvel have fallen. Give me loads of money. Wait, what? Let's see that again. Let's see that again, super fans, super patriot fans. Let's have a little look at this. That is cap. It's nothing but air. Clean sweep past bro's face, and he's rolling away, trying to sell us, trying to pass by this awful woke choreography. Let's see some more high-octane thrills from the wonderful choreography at Marvel. What? Yeah, okay, yeah, that looks great, doesn't it? What? Wow, okay, yeah, so they just have no respect for us as viewers, because that was nowhere near, was it? Yeah, so this is take one. I think they should try this again. This is obviously take one. I think they need to practice this a few more times. I think this is take one. Oh yeah, this looks so bad, by the way. I don't know, maybe it's the lack of sound, maybe it's the potato quality, but I don't know, it just looks kind of bad, don't you think? What's bro doing? Just falling against the wall? Oh, you got me fucked if you think I'm buying that. What are we watching? Don't forget to give me super thanks. Alright guys, right, you ready for this one? Look at this, look at this, look at this. Wow, that must have hurt so much. Look at him. Alright Patriots, I think it's kind of obvious what the takeaway here is. This is all rubbish, you shouldn't watch this. Anyone who does is a soy boy cuck, leftist, and I'm really clever. I know how to analyze media. I'm a smart boy. Now, obviously, I'm not really criticizing this scene. It goes mega hard. It's a highlight of one of Marvel's best adaptations, but in a lot of ways, it is similar to this new scene. The performances aren't all pixel perfect. Sometimes things don't connect. If you slow it down, it doesn't look as good. But that wasn't a problem. That didn't stop the hundreds of thousands of viewers from slurping this all up. Because these guys, their viewers, weren't really comparing the two, were they? They were comparing a distortion of this new scene to something equally distorted. They're our memories of that old one. We're led to compare something right in front of us to something we maybe kinda remember, by people who maybe kinda remember it too. When the Daredevil hallway fights are invoked, you don't recall frame for frame every movement that happened. You think back to a hazy impression of fluid brutality that you really liked. You're not going off reality, you're going off your impression of reality. Just a nudge from angry YouTube guy number 16, and selective memory kicks in. It isn't overselling it to say that this disconnect between the way we think and the way we think underlies a lot of the persuasive power of channels like these. Let me give you another example from this controversy, and then one from something older. At one point in the Drinker's Chaser video, one of his guests, Jedi Brooks, media analysis, spreading awareness for the epidemic of bad writing one video at a time, makes the point that this scene's poor because Maya doesn't get trashed by Matt.
Matt, his foundational skill is boxing. Before he learned any of his other acrobatics and skills, he's a boxer at heart. He would knock her the fuck out in 30 seconds. Like, they can't be fighting back and forth.
And this is a point many others have taken up. It's a point that goes down easily. Matt's an established hero. We've seen him kick a good deal of ass. He was trained from an early age and is a very skilled fighter. But the other thing we saw a lot from Matt, from this Matt specifically, the Netflix take this either is or is drawing heavily from, is him getting beat, and beat bad. Matt takes so many poundings over those 3 seasons, spends so many episodes recovering slowly, that part of me is just baffled by the way so many of memory hold this Daredevil's past. Yes, Matt is an expert fighter, he'll take out random thugs with ease, but we've seen plenty that too skilled an opponent, even too many unskilled opponents, and Matt gets in trouble quickly. Sure, he was trained from a young age, but so was Maya. Again, the reason so many are susceptible to complaints like this videos about Maya holding her own being bogus Disney Marvel revisionism is that whole impressions versus reality thing. When you think of Charlie Cox's Daredevil, you don't think of this. You think of this. I know that fan interaction with defunct properties more often takes the shape of watching highlight clips and montages than full rewatches, so I get it, but at the same time, come on guys! Again, we see a narrative-fueling argument being deployed, an argument whose heavy lifting is done by the appearance, the impression of something. Here, Daredevil's superlative skill, rather than reality. And it doesn't even matter that I've made reality's case now, because people have already been convinced. All you need is a commanding voice, the thin veneer of seeming knowledgeable, and the suggestion of an evidenced case does the job of a real one. Let's talk about Glass Onion. A year and a bit ago, the second of Rian Johnson's Benoit Blanc mysteries was released. Glass Onion brought with it some killer looks, a kind of fun cultural moment, and a lot of garbled critique from anti-Johnson culture warriors. So many of these guys tried to take down Glass Onion because of all that pent-up rage at the director for the unforgivable crime of making a good Star Wars movie. Right-wing commentators were drawn to that challenge like so many moths to a flame. Their attempts were often deeply flawed, and I pushed back against 2 of those attempts on this channel, those of bone-dry Ben Shapiro and good old Critical Drinker. At the risk of beating the rotting remains of a dead horse, I want to talk a little about the latter's video, the one that tried to convince millions that the film was hack garbage, and seemingly succeeded. One part of that video I didn't really focus on was the way the Drinker positioned himself. It often seems to show Drinker arguing from the position of a faithful mystery fan, an authority with the knowledge and experience to tell you, no, this isn't how you tell a detective story.
Glass Onion isn't a space opera, it's a murder mystery, therefore it needs to make sense. The entire genre is predicated on the plot and character decisions making sense. Again, the point of murder mysteries is that you're supposed to be introduced to what seems like a respectable group of people at first, only to gradually uncover the sinister secrets and misdeeds beneath. It's an insult to a genre that deserves far better than this gaudy, superficial trash.
Early on, he even name-checks a couple of Agatha Christie's protagonists.
Someone like myself, because us Brits have got a long and storied history when it comes to fictional detectives, from Sherlock Holmes to Hercule Poirot, Miss Marple, and the greatest—
a move with a clear function, to say, as a fan of the genre's greats, and as a writer myself, trust me when I talk about the genre, what's done and what isn't. I know my stuff. That seems to be one of the reasons Rian Johnson's impossible flashback scene insertion thing is so galling. Not only does it contradict what we'd already seen, but a trick like this, almost deceiving the viewer through the system of storytelling, just goes against the history and spirit of mystery fiction like this. When I covered this before, I really honed in on the fact that the flashback scene insertion thing wasn't impossible, actually. That there is no contradiction, that all Johnson's doing here is playing with perspective, with what we see and when, and that is obviously true, but I did miss something quite important. Agatha Christie did that kind of thing too. Don't believe me? Good. I'm just some fucker with a microphone. Let me quote someone with a little more cred. In his structural analysis of narratives, Roland Barthes, feel free to pause and Google him guys, singles out Christie as an example of the way elements of narration, like the interplay between personal and apersonal modes, can be used to create similar literary trick effects. Barthes writes that Christie's Sittaford mystery, published in the US as The Murder at Hazelmoor, quote, only keeps the enigma going by cheating on the person of the narration. A character is described from within when he is already the murderer, as if in a single person there were the consciousness of a witness and the consciousness of a murderer. Personally, I think the equivalence between the narratological effect Barthes is describing here and Johnson's on-screen perspective revising in Glass Onion is remarkable, and the translation of this type of trick to the language of the screen is another feather in the film's cap, another brilliant counter to critiques like these. But it doesn't matter that actually tricks like this have a rock-solid basis in the genre Glass Onion's drawing from, because videos like The Drinkers were able to conjure up the hazy suggestion of a far more stolid, formulaic mystery tradition, to give the impression of knowledge and authority in that tradition on the part of the writer, and that's all you need to convince people. People tend to think they're more rational than they are. I know, that's hardly a new observation, but it is true. We think we make all our decisions based on evidence. We think we privilege the opinions of others, even those who we've never met, based on sound judgments and track records, instead of emotion and attachment. It's not the case. We'll leap into belief, or for that matter, into hate, on the flimsiest of evidence. We won't notice our own selective memory, and we'll let ourselves be led, lifted, and driven by artfully conjured, well-placed impressions. That's a fact that's far bigger than Marvel show discourse, or the online griftosphere, yes. But it is true here also, so bear this in mind, because the ripples of seemingly irrelevant internet nonsense like this might just reach further than you think. Alright, I'm gonna go check out the rest of Echo. Thanks for watching. More stuff coming soon, hit that glowing like button, and huge thanks as always to my supporters on Patreon and YouTube who help me continue doing this, especially Hanan, Daniel Goldhorn, Karen Kuhlman, Magath, Ryan Emily, Something Capitalism Bad, Thomas R, and Weirdy Beardy. See ya.